I'm Layla.
I'm Sarah, and this is not your usual podcast.
Hi guys, I'm Layla.
I'm Sarah,
and this is not your usual podcast.
So welcome back to our podcast. If this is your first time, welcome. We're Layla and Sarah, and if you have not seen any of our videos, you should definitely go check that out. We have an introduction video, we have some other videos and advices that you guys should see. And today we're going to be talking about something that's very important for us, which is
Healing. So healing is something that me and Sarah talk about all the time. Literally almost every day, like no matter what type of circumstance we have, I feel like we always reflect it back to healing, and we talk about how far we've come, and we think about how a situation or an adversary, would have been different if we weren't healed, and how we might have acted in the past compared to how we act now that we've experienced different things, gained different insight, etc. So, do you want to talk a little about like what healing means to you?
Yeah, for sure. I think that before you heal and before you get in your healing journey, you need to figure out what healing means to you and what parts of you needs to be healed. So first of all, for me, healing means taking away the conditioning and the trauma that you have now and that you didn't have before. Because for me, like as a child, I used to feel really lost and just didn't really know much about myself or life or anything. And as I grew up, I realized that it's because of trauma and because of conditioning and because of things that people tell you and certain experiences that you go through, but that doesn't mean that it has to be that way. Sometimes you're waking up in a life that's not even meant to be yours, but you don't know that because you're so traumatized that you can't fully see with the eyes that God gave you. You're seeing through the lens of trauma. So that's what healing means to me, to release the trauma and see things with God's eyes too.
I agree with that. I agree with that in the same way, because healing, I would say it's definitely not something that's linear. It's going to take time. It's going to take it's different for anyone. For me, it took I would say 4+ years, but it can take a couple months for some people. But I think it's recognizing that healing involves making improvements, making different decisions that you would have made in the past prior to that trauma, prior to that situation that happened to you, so that you can be the best version of yourself. And it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy at all,
Yes.
but it's definitely going to be worth it, because you're not dealing with the same baggage. You're not dealing with the same situational circumstances that you did in the past. So.
And I honestly feel like a huge part of healing and a huge part of continuously heal, because like you said, it's not linear. You're not just gonna wake up and be like, oh, I'm perfect, I'm healed, I'm cured. It's not like that. But it's to find the root, right? Like just the same way that trees grow and they take years to grow, that happens to us too. We take years to grow and develop, and sometimes we might not grow in the very way that we are supposed to stay in. But I like to think that we grow in the way that we have to. Like, let's say a tree, like this little plant right here, say it's growing, but it's growing with what are those things called that spike you?
Thorns.
Yeah, if it's growing with that and that would harm the fruit, you cut them out, right? So that's what honestly trauma means to me. Like you grow, and if you have, can you say it?
Thorns.
Yeah, if you have that on you, you cut them out. And that's honestly how I feel about us, humans. Like you find the root of your trauma and you release it, you learn it, you let it go, you understand it. And for me, a huge root of my trauma was childhood. I didn't grow up with my parents, so I would always think that I was just alone and I had no one to go to, even though I had my family. That's not my parents. But if you didn't grow up with your parents, you know what it's like to feel like you're being a burden to someone. And even if they take care of you super good, it's still they're not your parent.
Yeah.
So that was a huge part of me. I can honestly get into that more because there's a lot. But another part was my family. I know my family have gone through stuff that I don't even know about. My grandma, she didn't go to school. She doesn't know how to read or write. Her dad didn't allow her to go to school. So it's I don't know what type of trauma that she endured. I mean, I know a little bit, but it's crazy stuff. I wouldn't even want to put her on blast.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So to me, it's the fact that she went through that is in her DNA. She birthed my dad and my other grandma, my mom, and it's like those things are combining out all into me. And now like I'm being born with that DNA, and then like I'm being raised by the same people who suffered, and they're just putting on the same experiences that they had onto you, whether they're good or not, which they're not always gonna be bad.
Yeah.
It's gonna have some good things too. Like I would definitely tell you, I learned so much with my family, but there's also things that I had to unlearn because it's never supposed to be like that. So finding the root, what would you say, Layla, was like a root of your trauma?
Yeah, so I would say for me, a root of my trauma was definitely, I would say being able to feel like nurtured, I guess, and being able to feel, I guess, comfortable being me. And I guess basically accepting love from people is like very hard for me, even to like this day. Like I'm still healing. Like I feel like that's something that needs to be talked about too, because I feel like sometimes healing doesn't stop.
I don't think it'll ever stop.
You know what I'm saying?
Ever.
Like,
well, maybe once we die.
Maybe once we die, but like I feel like as life, I'm still healing right now from this. Like it's hard for me to accept love from people. It's hard to accept that, basically like that I can give love and feel love from people because like at a very young age, my mom did pass away when I was 9. So it really did impact me because like it's hard for me to, I've told you in the past before, like it's been hard for me to be very nurturing and be very like receiving as well in relationships because like I never received that nurturing aspect from like a mom before. Like my dad raised me my entire life, and like his way of parenting is very like, it's just like he loves me so much, but he is hard on me, and he just wants me to succeed. But at the same time, like I almost feel like I've been trained to be a certain way. Like, can you agree with that?
For sure. Like that's making me laugh because of my grandma. Like,
yes.
For her, it's just like, even like I think it's because she didn't get to go to school, and like her mentality was just like, actually, like I have a funny thing to say.
Okay.
I used to sleep in the same room as my sister, and she would come in every day at like 7 a.m. and turn on the lights and open the blinds and scream and be like, "Get up! It's past lunchtime and you guys are still sleeping." And me and my sister would get up so fast and like scared that, you know, it is late, and then we look at the clock and it's 7:30 a.m.
Oh my
If you wonder
goodness.
why I'm able to wake up early every day, that is why.
See,
And
exactly.
as a kid, that is honestly kind of traumatizing.
It is.
You know, it's like it does train you though, but sometimes it's a little like, can I just sleep in today?
Yes, exactly. And I feel like a lot of my my ethics for working hard, feeling like I should always be working towards something, feeling like, I don't know, like certain things of that nature that I did learn from my dad, like you're saying that you learned from your grandma. Like I feel like that's so interesting, but I definitely feel like that was a big root of my trauma. I had to learn how to be okay with not having a parent, not having like a mother figure in the house. Like thank God I have my stepmom now. My stepmom's been in my life for like 10 years now. So that's amazing. And she's been very, very helpful with my healing as well. But I do feel like sometimes there is that sense, like, especially like when I'm raising kids and stuff, I've never like, my stepmom has always been there for me, but it hits different when it's like somebody like that you're biologically related to. And I know that might seem controversial, but like, it's like, I feel like when I become a parent, I feel like that's going to be me healing when I have a kid, because like
I've heard about that.
Yeah, like I've never had like that full maternal instinct presented in front of my face. So that I'll deal with when I get there.
She was alive, would you say?
I would say kind of, but also she got sick when I was 5.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't really have that experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was some root of my trauma, but I would say also I've learned to heal and cope with it in different ways. Definitely through my family, definitely through my stepmom and my dad, definitely through friends and people around me sharing their experiences. And I did learn a lot. I did learn how to be strong, how to persevere, and that did teach me a lot. Like, how would you say, like, some ways you were able to cope from the abandonment and everything like that? Like, what did you use? Like, I know that's, like, very heavy, but, like, seriously.
I just want my mom and dad to know that when you're watching this, like, I love you and I understand all you had to do.
Yes.
Because I know that, like, what I felt, I didn't feel it alone. And
Yes.
that they, like, definitely, like, had to feel it too. You know,
Yes.
it's like, before it would make me a little mad. Mm-hmm. Well, let me just say that, like, I'm really proud of you I just don't want to forget. I'm really proud of you for growing and learning how to cope with that, because I know you deal with it very well. And as someone who's never lost somebody that was that close to me, I can't even imagine what it's like, but I think you do it really well.
Thank you.
Of course. So I just wanted to say that for a long time in my childhood, I didn't understand, and I just blamed my parents a little bit. And even though they would try to explain it to me, it was just like, why? Why would you leave me?
Yes.
Like, why didn't you bring me? And, like, if you know anything about other countries, you should understand a little bit. I'm not even going to explain too much because there's just so much that goes into it. But I feel like the way that I cope is understanding that everything happens for a reason. And honestly, like, to some people that might be like BS, but to me it's not, because the way my life played out, it's just too perfect. Like, yes, like, I have had multiple times where I honestly didn't even want to, like, keep going. Full transparency. Like, I was like, why would I keep doing this if this is, like, how miserable I feel? And, like, and honestly, like, it would just be, like, early, like, late night crying and, like, I don't know. Like, as a kid, I didn't feel like I had anyone to go to, just because, like, how am I supposed to tell my grandma that I'm feeling, like, lonely? She's going to be like, what do you mean? I'm here all the time. You know? So it's just, like, everything that I went through kind of put me in the path of learning what I had to learn. Like, today, I know that you can be in a room full of people and still feel alone if you're not okay with yourself, you know? And honestly, like, even though sometimes I think, like, oh, like, I wish what it would have been like if my parents raised me, or if, like, they were in Brazil, or if I was here. But I don't want to know, respectfully, the way that my life is today, after all the healing that I've done, and after the journaling, and after figuring it out that everything does happen for a reason. I wouldn't want it to happen in any other way, because it shaped me as a person. It gave me wisdom. It put me closer with God, and I'm sure it did a lot for my parents too. And what I was gonna say earlier that I did forget was that it used to hurt me, because it's like, I'm their daughter, but imagine what it's like to leave your kid and still know that that's your kid. Like, because one thing is, like, you don't have a kid and you can just go about your day. Another thing is you have to go about your day, but you know you have a kid and you're not close to them. Like, I saw my dad for the first time. I was 10 years old. First time ever. And he is my dad. He just left when my mom was pregnant. But, like, that is insane. Like, how do you live not knowing your dad personally, but talking to him on the phone? You know what I mean? But to me, it really is understanding why it happened, how it's helped me as a person, how it's helping other people. Because my grandma, I'm sure I was a blessing in her life. Like, yeah, like, she had to raise me. Like, my aunt, too. Like, all my other family, my cousins, everyone who was there for me, they had to do a lot for me. But I'm sure that me being there was doing stuff for them, too, you know?
Exactly. And that's something that I want to relate to, like, what you just said, because I truly feel like you can... Like, you have to change your perspective. So I would say once you finish the healing and once you start to work, or even when you're in the season, say you're feeling something right now where you're in a season where you're dealing with a specific issue or a specific trauma, you need to realize and understand that your trauma can be someone's testimony.
For sure.
Like, your trauma and what you're going through now, you have to keep holding on. You have to keep thinking positively as best as you can. Like, you have to even trick your mind and lie to yourself. Seriously, lying to yourself, I know that sounds kind of scary, but, like, if you eventually keep lying to yourself over and over again, and, well, I wouldn't say lying. Like, I would
get
say,
what you
like, you
mean.
know what I'm saying? Like, making yourself believe. You're going to believe it
Yes.
eventually that you are healed and that things are going to get better for you. And if you keep that mindset, watch, you're going to blink and you're going to be in a totally different situation than you were in before. And then after, you're going to be able to help someone that's dealing with something similar or the exact same thing as you. Like, now, exactly, like with my situation, I can help people that have maybe lost their parents, or I can help people who, even maybe if they've never met their mom, maybe their mom walked out on them on a young age or something like that, so they've never had that maternal figure. I can be somebody that can help people that are dealing with that. Same with you, with people that have not known their parents or people that have felt a sense of abandonment in some sort of way. Like, that's you can step in there and help them as well. So
Would you say that you feel like what happened to you happened for a reason too?
I would say so, and I know that sounds very heavy because it's like, what? Like, your mom died. Why are you saying that? Like, it's just like for me, I'm a very spiritual person, so I do believe that it happened for a reason because I don't think that I would be me if it didn't happen. Like, I would be completely different. I probably wouldn't even be sitting on this couch.
Exactly.
I would not be in this state. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying things all played out and things all aligned to this point. And that's why I'm saying you have to trust God, because if you would have told me back then when I was 9 years old that I would be in Florida, that I would be doing this today.
Oh my God. I would be like, are you joking?
Yes, exactly. Like, I would not believe you. So I just think that you have to just trust the process and trust that in your healing, there will be good manifestations and good blessings that are going to come out of it because you're doing the work and you're sowing the seeds to become better. So I would say that.
As long as you are doing the work too. And also, like, I feel like everything honestly starts with self-love.
Yes.
Because if I knew about that as a kid, oh my God, I probably would have saved myself from so much. And honestly, like it's honestly a little hard to talk about because it's like the people pleasing and yes, it like all of those stuff. It's like once you truly have self-love, you understand that like your love for other people will also be there regardless if you put yourself first or not. Like if you don't want to go somewhere, don't go just because so-and-so wants you to go. If you don't want to do something, don't do it just because they want you to do it. I used to have people that didn't appreciate me as a, I don't want to say as a kid, but just before I started my healing journey, I used to have a lot of people in my life who didn't appreciate me for who I was. And if I had self-love enough to stand up for myself and be like, I deserve better. I know who I am. I know all that I've been through. I know the heart that I have, and I know my relationship with God. I do not have to put myself in these circumstances with people who don't appreciate who I am. And if anything, they just make these circumstances worse. Because at the end of the day, a huge part of your trauma is your environment. And oh my gosh, I really could talk about this so much because you end up attracting what you are like you said, you reap what you sow. So if you have been heavily traumatized and you haven't healed, so your body is basically like a negative ion, like a negative magnet. You're gonna be walking around, whether in Miami, China, Brazil, New Zealand, you're gonna attract the bad stuff too. It's just like a magnet until you start to heal internally so you can project better things out, then you start to attract better things.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. Like, putting yourself in a situation that is a higher vibration is going to be the best thing you can do. If you're healing right now or if you're going through something, maybe going out and drinking and going out and going to the club or doing something specifically crazy, do not do that. Like, whenever I'm upset, my dad, he always says to me, like, don't do anything crazy because that's something that he used to do in his past that would get him in trouble. And I always think about that because it's like that stuff in those vibrational settings, I'm sorry, but most of the time the people in those settings are also going through things. And they're
heavily
using that to
traumatized.
cope. It's one thing if you're going out to have a good time with your friends,
Celebrate something.
to celebrate or just to like have a good time in that way. But if you're going out to cope and to mask whatever emotions you're healing, you are going to bring your vibrations down so much further than they were the moment you entered that club or the moment you entered that bar. So just think of things in that way as well. I agree with that. I would also say, kind of back to what you said as well, in terms of internally, I think recognizing that you need to forgive. a lot of the times that we have trauma, we need to forgive the people that we think were involved.
True,
or
for
the
sure.
things that we were,
Yes.
like and when I was younger, like I remember when my mom did die, I did hear, this is gonna be a little heavy, but I remember somebody told me, one of my family members told me they were like upset with God. And I know that's like something like very heavy, like, whoa, what do you mean? But it's like, she was saying, I think it might have been one of my aunts that told me that, but she was just confused. And I'm not saying that she should have blamed him necessarily, but I think you need to, in terms of my situation, I needed to forgive everybody because I was even confused. I was like, God, like, why did my mom die? Like, or I was upset with my dad, like, oh, now it's just us. I was upset with myself, thinking like, did I do something? Or say like it's in a situation of abuse too. Say you were abused. Like, I know it may be extremely hard because that situation is so sensitive and so heavy and so awful, but like internally forgiving the abuser or internally forgiving the situation you were in, like recognizing that it's not your fault and just forgiving. Like, you don't have to go up to the person, especially somebody that hurt you, and be like, I'm sorry. No. Internalize it and recognize it in your brain. You can write them a letter and not send it. Mm-hmm. Just do something so that bridge is done. Forgiveness takes off a mask so that you can go forward, I feel like.
For sure. And see, like, I can relate that to my parents, my family, friends, or ex-friends, because once you understand that people do to you what they know that it's best, then it's easier to forgive. It doesn't mean you have to allow that person back in your life. It just means that now you understand that they did what they thought was best in the moment, and that no matter what would have happened, they would have done the same thing. And it's up to you to know how are you going to react to that. You know, like, I fully forgive my parents for doing what they had to do. Now I have the opportunity to be here and be making this podcast. Like, I have the opportunity to get a degree in America. No one in my family has even gone to college. And I'm getting a bachelor's in America. So, like, I will, like, and that's not, like, why I'm like, oh, I forgive them because I have this. No, I forgive them because I understand that they did what they thought was best in the moment. And at the same time, too, your parents, no one gets a life manual. This is their first time living life, too. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't have it all figured out. They're just trying to do the best with what they have. So, but I did want to mention, too, that I feel like once you pay attention to your triggers, it's kind of easier to see what you have to heal from and like what you have to do.
Do you want to like explain that a little?
Yeah, like sometimes like you have to realize like what is causing me to react like this? Like, why do I feel like this is okay? And like, let's say I used to be so easily triggered. Like, if you screamed at me or anything, I would scream back at you. I would cry. Honestly, it's a lot, like, you know. But I remember there was like this one specific time that someone told me, I'm not gonna let you think that you're right all the time, because that's not true. So what I did is I was like, oh, you know, I cared about that person a lot. So I was like, oh, I guess like that's true. Like, I'm not right all the time. So then I started doing shadow work. If you know anything about shadow work, cool. If you don't, it's basically when you ask yourself like more triggering questions like, why do I feel so angry all the time? Why do I need to be right all the time? Why do I feel unloved? Why do I feel not deserving? And once you write those things down on a paper and you sit with yourself, no phone, no nothing, just you, the paper, your thoughts, and the pen or pencil, whatever, and you're just like, I feel this way because of that. It really reminds you of why you feel that way. And sometimes it's not true, you know? Sometimes it's just a habit. Sometimes it's just something that you've seen other people do, so you think it's okay to do too, but it's not. Sometimes it's just a circumstance that you have to get rid of, because if you don't, it's gonna ruin your life. What would you say are some of your triggers? Or where? Not anymore as much, but...
I would say, again, like with the people, with raising their voice at me, or people, I would say when I was younger, I would get very upset when I felt like people were purposely excluding me. Also, that came from me growing up, I think, well, I have brothers and sisters. I have 8 in total, including my
wow.
step siblings,
That's a lot.
But I have 4 regular brothers and sisters combined of biological, not regular, biological. Sorry. I grew up because my biological siblings, they're my half siblings. So in my house that I grew up in, it was just me. So that kind of did, like, I always say that when I have kids, I want to have more than one kids. And I think that is from the trauma, from the I experience. And people might be like, people that are only child may be like, oh, well, like, what are you talking about? But you have to remember, like, my situation, me being in a household where my parent was sick, I'm not saying, like, out of a jealous way, I didn't get a lot of attention, but, like, there was a lot going on. So it's like, there was not much attention on me. And since I was by myself, and like, yeah, my brother was there, but my brother was in his 20s. So like, it's not like he was like playing with me or anything. So like, I felt very alone.
Yeah.
And so when people like wouldn't invite me to stuff as I got older, in like middle school or elementary school, or like say there was like a birthday party, wasn't there, I would feel so triggered. I'd be like, what's wrong with me? Like, am I weird? Is it something that I would do? And I'd start like overthinking and all of these things. So that definitely was a trigger for me. Or just like feeling like people are only there for like a temporary amount of time. I think going back to my mom, like that really like does trigger me. Like when people new come into my life, even now, sometimes I'm like, are they here to stay, or are they here to just be here for a little bit of time and just leave?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
And honestly, like that brings me to the alignment thing, because
Yes.
sometimes people are meant to leave, and that's fine. Sometimes people are meant to stay, and that's great. Like, you just have to make sure that the people who stay are helping you with your healing journey and not your
Yes.
trauma journey.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. And I think as I'm getting older, definitely I'm recognizing that I enjoy the simple things in life more. Like, I would rather have a few friends that care about me and that I know love me and everything. And I feel like right now I have a good circle of people that do that for me. So I'm very blessed and fortunate. But before, I did used to care about being friends with everybody. And now I'm like,
having everybody like you.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that's definitely something too that comes with people pleasing, just making sure that you're making everyone happy. Well, like those like little food ads say, you're not a taco, you can't make everyone happy. And some people don't even like tacos. So it's like, come on, like, don't try to please everyone. Just make sure you're pleasing yourself. And if you have a faith, pleasing God too, because those things will really put you like, honestly, like sometimes pleasing yourself is not the best.
yeah.
Please God.
In
Please.
moderation.
Yes. Make sure God comes first, because otherwise you're going to please yourself and then you're going to break your face because you're going to realize that was only temporary.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like the coping mechanisms that you're saying, like if you're feeling like you need to like release and then you go out, I'm sorry, but that's not going to make you feel that much better. Even in
for
the
a
moment.
temporary time after
Yeah.
those few shots. Like,
Yeah, but honestly, for me, like like in moments like that, like let's say I was feeling something, I would go out, take the shots, and sometimes like being fully transparent, I would drink way more than I could because I was just like, yeah, I'm going through this, let me drink.
Yes.
It's like that is not okay, because
Yeah.
now you're throwing up. And it's so humbling to just be in that position.
Because you're like, I did this to myself.
Not only you
Yeah.
did that to yourself, but you did that because you were already hurt.
Yeah,
You're
and-
putting hurt with hurt.
And it's worse, I feel like, when it's like from a person, like say it's like about like a man or something from
Oh,
the past.
no.
Like it's like, oh, like I let this person have me on the floor throwing up like this. Like
That is embarrassing.
Oh my gosh, it's so awful. It's so awful.
And like, I'm not trying to shame anyone. We've
No.
definitely like all been there before. It's just having that awareness that that is not going to help you. Like the other day, I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling bad and I did think of going out. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put on a short dress, some heels, I'm gonna do my makeup, and I'm going out.
But then
And then I was
remember
like,
what
hold
you
on.
said, because of the intention
It's like,
behind
that's
it.
not me. I could go out and put on a dress, but why would I want to do that today?
If it's not for the right intentions, don't do it. Like, if I go out and I know that, say I go out and I'm not feeling it, I will leave. Because I'm like, what is the intention of me being here? Just to stand here if I don't want to be there? Like, I understand. I also feel like in terms of coping, like when you were saying with faith, I feel like in healing, you have to understand that you need to have faith in the entirety of your healing journey. Like
True.
trusting that this version or this situation is not going to be the end of your life, and that it's just a part of your life that's going to make you stronger.
Yep.
I think
and build you up.
And builds you up. And faith is not just about being like, yep, I believe.
Yeah, like praise the Lord, but
yeah.
not
And you're still
fully
not
believing.
doing, but you're saying praise the Lord, but at the same time, you're not doing anything that's showing that you're having a faith in him. You're not putting in the work. You're not doing the things that you need to do to change your situation. Like, really analyze your situation, guys, and look at what is hindering yourself from healing. Like, I understand that, like we said, everybody has their own trauma and everybody goes through their own situations, but you owe it to yourself to heal. You deserve to heal. And it's your responsibility to heal. It's not your responsibility to deal with what other people have done for you, but to change yourself and to become better with yourself. That is your responsibility. So what do you think?
Not only for you, because you deserve to experience that life. Like, I'm gonna be fully honest. I used to feel so anxious all the time that I would feel that there was just like a break on my
On your
entire
chest?
body, my chest, my back, and like that. You don't have to feel that way, you know? And that's why, honestly, I love working out, because it's a great way to release. It's a great way to just put your mind at ease and use the body that God has given you. I'll definitely say that in order to heal, though, there are gonna have to be some practices that you do, and you're gonna have to find something different for each day, maybe, or you can do the same thing every day, but it's gonna look different every day. What would you say are some things you had to do?
Yeah, so I definitely think so. Transferring it from my mom, a lot of times, like where I had to heal too was in relationships, specifically with men. Like, I was just a person before, like, recent years, I would say. I did not really know myself in the way that I thought I did. Like, I feel like I based a lot of my identity off of experiences that I had in other people, but I didn't really know myself as a person. So when I would go into relationships with men, I definitely would just people please, and I would just basically not worship them, because that's a very strong word, but like I would do a lot, let's just say. And I would say I had to heal from that, because in doing a lot for them, I wasn't doing anything for myself. And I feel like certain practices that I did then, I wouldn't do now. So let's just say, like, whenever I would go through breakups with these people, since I invested so much of my time, so much of my energy into these people, I would miss them a lot. And when I would heal through these breakups, it would take a lot in me. Like, I'd be sick at night. Like, my stomach would be hurting. Like, I wouldn't want to talk to anybody. I'd be sick for a while, and I'd be going on their page, like, going to see who their new girl is, going to see, just check in on them. Or I'd be listening to old music that we listened to together, watching old shows, like, kind of reliving the memories. And, like, those are practices that I cannot do anymore. I haven't done those things in years, but I definitely have in the past. And that's definitely negatively impacted me. So I think, like, filtering yourself and filtering, like, what you're watching, filtering what you're exposing yourself to. For sure. Like, have you ever been through, like, a situation, like, where you're, like, reminiscing through old things? Or?
Yeah. Even sometimes, like, looking at my Snapchat memories. I post on Snapchat a lot. So it's something that, like, I have to... Like, okay, like, trust me, if we're not friends anymore, we are not there anymore. So maybe, like, a picture or two, but it's not like I'm reminiscing through the people, but it's just kind of just, like, that era of my life.
Yes.
But I honestly feel like that comes with moving on and understanding that if you truly want to heal, you deserve better. You want to do better. And I feel like also that comes with accepting the uncertainty. Sometimes you're not sure that, like, your healing journey is going to take you to where you want to be, because it's not linear. Like, you wake up today and you're feeling great, but you wake up tomorrow and it's like no progress. But like you said, it's just really having faith in the process and having faith in what you're doing. would you say that you have anything that you do on a daily basis that helps you stay like grounded and helps you stay on your healing journey?
Yeah, I would say me waking up in the morning, I try to pray for at least 30 minutes every day. Um, and that automatically sets the tone for me for the day. Also, me having time to, like you said before, working out. I try to go at least twice a week, I would say. With work, it does often depend. And that does also change sometimes, but that's a good practice. I would also say taking time for myself to sit outside and to just be with nature. I do that every morning as well.
True.
I'll sit by my pool, no phone, no media, no people, and I'll just kind of bake in the sun and just take in all the energy and just sit and just listen. Just connecting with myself, connecting with God, and connecting with the earth, I can say are like the best three things, and that have helped me heal tremendously. Like back then when I was healing before, I was doing a lot of those things, but definitely I was not as strong as in my faith a couple years ago. I'm going to just be completely honest, as I am now. And I think that if I was stronger in my faith back then, I would have, things definitely would have been a lot easier for me. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I also, for me, I'd say that meditating has done so much for me. Like, and also if you don't know how to meditate, because I just hate when I'll tell someone like, meditate. And
She's literally teaching me. Like, I still have to learn more, but like,
Yeah,
yes.
sorry, I'm not trying to come at you. It's just like, it's like, because I get it though. Like, if I tell you to start running today, I always use this example. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to breathe better, whatever, you start running today. You're not gonna run like, what's that man called from Jamaica?
Oh,
The fast
Usain Bolt.
Yeah,
Usain
you're
Bolt.
not gonna run like him. You need to practice. You need to practice every day for you to get good. That's the same way as meditation. You need to, like, okay, the first time I did it, it didn't work. Second, third, fourth, fifth. It's like you have to keep trying, whether that's a YouTube guided meditation, whether you look up how to do it. If you want to do it, keep trying. It will work. And once it works, it's going to be like a drug. And it's not a drug because it's literally something you're doing with your natural body. You can do it anytime. I do it once I'm waiting in lines, once I'm bored at work, once I'm doing my homework sometimes. And that's honestly a great way to retain information. But also going to church has super helped with my healing. Reading the Bible, I have a Bible in Portuguese and in English. So it's like, this stuff really helps, guys. Like, once you understand like God's word and like how much it's meant to impact you, it really helps. Journaling, I like to write my intentions for the day, and I like to write the things I'm grateful for. I'm not the type of person that writes about things I'm uncomfortable with. If anything, I will write them in another way. Like, let's say I'm stressing about grades or money or anything, I would just write like, I'm so grateful that I have all good grades. I'm so grateful that I have more than enough money. Just things that will put me in that vibration of feeling good and not bad. Listening to good music, you know, like, it's like, I'm sorry, like, I love some sad songs and music, but if you are constantly doing that, you're putting yourself in that lower vibration, whether that is hip hop, which goes for me too, because I love me some rap. Like, I literally listen to Ludful. Like, you cannot listen to that at 7 a.m. if you're trying to heal.
Yeah.
That is not gonna work out. Like, it might for a little bit, but like, I definitely don't do it anymore. Like, I literally would wake up and be playing my Ludful while reading my devotional. Like, how is that possible? Like, that is not, and I'll be honest with you too, like that, like the rap isn't a coping mechanism for me. I still use it sometimes.
Yeah.
And not just coping, like I like it.
Yeah.
But like, I still do it sometimes. So you have to have the awareness of like, how is this helping me?
Yes.
Is it helping me release? Is it helping me create? Or is it like bothering me, you know?
Yes, exactly. I totally agree with you on those things. And like, I definitely think the way that you have helped me as well, you've helped me basically, I would say, be not confident, but me more self-aware in certain like coping mechanisms and certain things that I can do every day to help myself. So like,
Yeah.
I just want to say like, thank you for that. And I
course.
think especially with affirmations and speaking life over yourself is so important, whether it's in prayer or whether it's standing in a mirror and just being like, I am beautiful. I have great things
Repetition.
coming for me. Like words and the power of the tongue is so, so important and so, so impactful. Like speaking things over yourself and realizing that those things that you're speaking into yourself is going to manifest.
Yep.
So
Whether it's good or bad.
whether it's good or bad. So in healing, if you're having all these doubts in your mind, it can take everything in you. Everything, especially if your situation is looking so bad to like want to be positive or to want to like kind of make yourself feel better. Because sometimes like if you're feeling sorrowful, sometimes you just want to sit in that sorrow. But you guys have to get up and like you guys have to realize that like you need to make sure you're triumphing over your situation. Just speaking life into yourself.
No matter the circumstances.
Yes. And also having friends maybe that also speak into you, like I just said with you, like that helps a lot. Like look at your circle. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are these people also just sitting in their trauma? Are these people also just using unhealthy coping mechanisms? Look at the people around you and look at their behavior. I would say that for sure.
And a huge part for me, like please, if you take anything out of this video, eat healthy. Because eating chips for breakfast and McDonald's and whatever it is, it's only going to put your body at harm. And if you think that stuff doesn't mess up with your mood and your depression and your anxiety, oh yeah, it does. Like once you eat sugar, that is increasing your dopamine levels so much. And I'm not saying I don't. It's something that I consistently try to work with every single day. Like it's honestly bad. Like ever since I was a kid, I used to have like a little sugar addiction. Like I remember having a couple reais in Brazil, and I would just go to bars and get a piece of candy and walk home eating it because that was just like a little sense of pleasure for me. And then I moved here, like I'll go to the gas station, I can't leave without a candy. I can't leave CVS without a Snickers bar. It's like you have to realize that like that stuff is affecting you whether you like it or not. Like I'm not saying that I can't eat a Snickers bar or that I can't eat sugar at all, but it's like please notice that what you put into your body, whether that is music, food, the stuff that you see on a daily basis, the energies that you're surrounded with yourself with. If you're going to the strip club, the club all the time, what are you putting into your body, whether it's physically or metaphysically, you know, like it's going in whether you like it or not. And with the food thing, like it's like, don't you feel so much better if you eat a strawberry rather than you eat like a piece of chip? It's like once I eat a strawberry, it's like reviving to me.
Yes, I definitely feel like me changing my eating habits, I would say, especially over these past few months, it's because like I have more free time right now. I'd say that that's helped my mood a lot. Like I feel like when I was at my office job, I wasn't able to eat as clean because I would have to wake up so early and I wouldn't be able to make my breakfast the way I would. I would bring breakfast to work, but it'd be like just like a bagel and that's it. And like for me, like that's not enough. Like I'm not to be greedy or nothing, but it's like I need my nutrients. I need my fuel in the morning. Like take vitamins, take supplements that are gonna help
water,
you.
Please get a water bottle. It's literally water is everywhere. Just drink water. And I feel like that comes with being true to yourself. If you're waking up in the morning and you are so thirsty for water, you're dehydrated. Like, what are you not doing that you need to be doing? What are you not eating that you need to be eating? I'm sure that Google will tell you all of those things. Like, I can't sit here and tell you everything that you need to eat, but Google can. And if you care enough, you can look it up.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was kind of rude. Okay. Seriously, though, like, the way you eat can really change your whole life.
Yes, for sure.
And I feel like also like showing appreciation for the things that are good in your life already and like appreciating the beauty, whether that's in the sunset or a flower or a tree, you know?
Simple things in your life, because especially when things are happening around you, whether it's financially, whether it's with friends, family, like circumstances will in the 3D will make you feel like sometimes that your life isn't going the way you want. But look at the things that are around you. Look at the space that you're in. Look at the people around you. Look at nature. Recognize that there's beauty in so much of our daily things in life that we just like skip over because we're just like, oh, I hate my job. I hate my life. Like, what do you have now that you need to be appreciative for? Maybe being appreciative will help manifest better things into your life.
Gratitude will bring more for you. And honestly, I wanted to talk a little bit about how your ego will only destroy you and your dreams, because that was a huge thing for me. I have a big ego. I do. I'm a Leo too, and like I do believe in astrology sometimes too. Like that's like now it doesn't ruin my entire life, but I do believe a little bit in it. And if you believe in the stars, you should too. But anyways, the ego thing will play such a huge role, because it's like you think that you're always right. Like I'm not like that anymore, but definitely at like 15, 14, especially with family, with friends, it was a little easier, because it's like, well, like I don't want to lose them type of thing. But even then, sometimes it's like, well, you can go too, you know. Like I'm not saying I would mistreat people, but it's easier. It was easier for me to be like, wow, like this hurt my ego, or like, you know, even though I've always been very caring, sometimes you have to realize how your ego is affecting you, you know? Don't try to be right all the time. Having peace is so much better than being right. And sometimes you're not right. Like I'm someone who I can really admit my mistakes. I haven't always been like that. Like I would admit it, but it would just take me a little longer and a little more time to process. But like right now, it's so much easier to live knowing that it doesn't matter. Like you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. And you don't have to live like what you do and what people think of you is gonna truly affect you that much, because it's not. So as long as you're at peace with yourself, stop trying to prove things. And that's gonna honestly play such a huge role in your healing journey. Do you agree?
I agree with that. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I guess just if you have trouble healing, keep going and pray to God that He can help you, and never stop praying and never stop trying, because there are days that I thought that I was gonna die out of pain, and it's not even physical pain, sometimes physical too. Like yoga can help too. I remember the first time I did yoga, I cried and I was so confused. And I guess that it's like because I had stuff to release in my body, but just don't give up. Like you will get there in due time. Like I definitely feel like I've like made it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still have a lot to be working on, whether you believe that or not. But I know it, and as long as you keep going, because it's not easy, but if you do one thing, you could do another thing, and it's just gonna be a reminder for you that it's achievable.
Yes.
No matter how hard or how long it takes.
Just to like not losing hope, not thinking that where you are is the end of your life. Because I know somebody like me who is a very big overthinker. Sometimes when you get into these moods of overthinking, it can be very dark. And like
True.
if you let it keep going and going and going, like something that where I can get, because my mind is very perplexed, I would say, like one thought, I'm here. Like, oh, I just dropped my cereal on the floor, but all of a sudden, I'm thinking about how in the next 2 years, like, if I'm not, like, where I'm supposed to be, I'm dead.
Successful.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So just recognizing that this is not the end for you, and that keep healing, keep going, and you're going to be at the place where you want to be in no time. You just cannot give up where the sense of motivation.
Yeah.
You can't give that up as well. Use anything to motivate you. Use anything to help you stay on top of being where you want to be.
Yeah, be very intentional with everything that you're doing. And if you have that vision of where you want to be, whether it is success or healing, keep that vision. Keep trying to feel those feelings like you were already there. And you will get there in due time. So I think that's all we have.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I hope that this is able to help you in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Sorry if I was a little mean.
You weren't. But yes, thank you guys. We hope this helped you guys a lot. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.